Laura Cheshire here to answer some questions. Thomas says, you do those adventures on post-it notes, right? I think they're good, except you do other things that I don't really understand and I don't think are very good at all. I'm not terribly good at art myself and would like to know how to throw the fear and give it a go. Good question, Thomas. If you do have a specific sort of art in mind, I would frankly just say practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more you improve. The more you improve, the less fearful you'll be. And it's also important to note that if you do have something in mind and maybe you're inspired by another artist, you're just seeing the finished product. So I think it's intriguing to know what goes on behind the scenes, and usually it's quite messy and takes many goes. You mentioned you liked my post-it notes, and I did one yesterday. It was a picture of Charlie from Selling Houses Australia, and that was actually my fourth Charlie. I did 3 Charlies prior, and I wasn't very impressed with them. And I wasn't even that impressed with the 4th one, although he looked the best, so I went for that one. It just goes to show, something so simplistic and something that seems like perhaps I've not put much thought into, probably ended up taking about an hour, That's quite generous to say an hour. It could have been longer. I had a good time, and I think once you realize you might have to do something a few times, you'll enjoy the journey and don't see it as a negative, just see it as a way of learning, and you might reach a destination that's beyond what you initially thought that you would reach. So hopefully I've answered your question and you can prosper from that. Question number 2 is from Edie. She says, you often post poetry about boys. Boys frequently enchant my thoughts. They don't even give me a first look though, never mind a second. I doubt that, Edie. The exciting news is that my best friend has set me up on a blind date. I'm just awfully worried that it will go wrong. Have you ever experienced a bad date? Your story might ease my nerves. Well, I don't go on very many dates, and I must admit, if I have gone on a date, they've been very pleasant, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I mean, they always go well for me, until I get a message out the blue saying, who's Errol? Who's Dishy? What's going on? And I have to assure them that I'm faithful and Errol is just a figment of my imagination and Dishy is just a bird figurine and it's a strictly platonic relationship. Although I just feel like it naturally fizzles out after that. I did once meet a boy on the street and he was quite enamoured, so we caught up the next week. As soon as we got back to he went to the loo and I received a text saying, please call me immediately and say there's a family emergency. 15 minutes later, he pops out the loo and says, oh, that text, that was quite funny. And I said, yeah, it was really funny, although I probably should go. And he said, yeah. So he took me to the closest metropolitan train station, although on the way there I realised that I'd left my bag of nuts behind. So I said, oh, can we please go back for my bag of nuts? So he said, all right. Got the bag of nuts, and then he said, I'll probably just take you to the nearest V-line station, which is the cross-country train line. So it was a longer journey back, although I got my bag of nuts. So my advice, my dating advice would be to keep your eye on your nuts, and things should pan out all right. So question number 3, Joshua, he says, "Hi, well, I was a fan of yours on MySpace about 10 years ago and was recently looking through an old folder on my computer and found your song Laura C. So I thought I'd see what you were doing nowadays. I've listened to your newer songs and they're better than I thought they'd be. The lyrics are super gloomy though. I just wanted to say I think you're decent. Thank you. And I hope you're not as blue as your words portray. And yeah, take care." Thank you, Joshua. That was very lovely. No, I'm not as blue as my words portray. I think when I write the words, I am very blue. Although most of the time, to sum myself up, very simply, I am just normal. I'm a very normal person. No more, no less. And I promise that I take care. Thank you, though. And, you know. Laura C is a gloomy song, too, I might add. I've just not said it in such a way. I've said it in a more light-hearted, sad way. So maybe that's a direction I should explore again. Yeah. Just having some battery troubles. Let's see if we can wrap this up very quickly. We'll go for one more question, which is from Errol. Wow, okay. So for anyone who doesn't know who Errol is, he was a figment of my imagination, and a few mates took a shining to him, so he then got his own story, then proceeded to Pinocchio me, and he became a real boy. So he asks, "Hey, I can't find my men's cotton navy business socks. Any chance they're in your imagination? Ta, if so." No, Errol, I don't think I would keep navy business socks in my imagination. Although I do know that the third largest shopping centre in Australia has a sock store. I've not shopped there myself, although I've walked past it, and I know there's hats, socks, scarves. I think you'd have a ball there. I'm pretty sure they've got some navy socks. So I would recommend checking that out. Sorry I have to rush this through, it's just that the battery's going. Bye guys, thank you. Yep. Okay, we stop.